Welcome to a narrated discovery, the channel where we wander slowly, listen deeply, and explore the world's hidden beauty, one country at a time. Today, our journey takes us far into the blue heart of the Pacific, to Tuvalu, a slender necklace of 9 coral atolls scattered across 1,000 kilometers of ocean just south of the equator, and roughly halfway between Australia and Hawaii. It is one of the world's smallest and most remote nations, with just about 11,000 people calling its sand and sea home. The great majority of Tuvaluans are Protestant Christian, their churches bright and open to the breeze. Beneath this faith, ancient Polynesian ways linger in dance, song, and respect for land and ocean. Here, life unfolds to the rhythms of tide and wind, and community is as steady as the sea. Settle in, let the world grow quiet, and drift with us to a place where the horizon is endless, where every dawn begins with the hush of waves and the promise of sun. Imagine yourself arriving at dawn on the main atoll of Funafuti as the first light spills across the lagoon. The sea is turquoise and still, barely ruffled by a warm wind. Palms arch over the coral sand, their leaves whispering in the half-light. Houses of wood and tin stand in neat rows along narrow lanes, each painted in colors faded by salt and sun. Roosters call, and somewhere a conch shell is blown, summoning the day. You step barefoot onto the soft sand, feeling it cool and gritty beneath your feet. The air smells of salt, coconut, and the faint sweetness of pandanus blossoms. You greet a woman sweeping her yard who smiles and says, "Talofa." Her welcome is easy, unhurried, as if you have always belonged here. The morning meal is simple. Thick slices of breadfruit, grilled over coals, and fresh fish wrapped in banana leaf, served with coconut cream. You eat sitting cross-legged on a woven mat, listening to the gentle murmur of voices. English, Tuvaluan, the rise and fall of laughter and song. After breakfast, the village stirs to life. Children skip along sandy paths on their way to school, their uniforms crisp and bright in the sun. Old men mend nets in the shade, their hands sure and steady. Women gather beneath a frangipani tree, weaving baskets and mats from pandanus, their fingers moving in time with old stories and the soft rhythm of the breeze. You wander through the village, pausing at the church where white walls gleam in the sunlight. Inside, pews are filled with morning song, voices rising in a harmony that seems to float above the island. Faith here is woven into every hour, the call to prayer, the bell at dusk, the gentle hush of blessing before each meal. Leaving the church, you walk the narrow land between lagoon and ocean, just a few hundred meters wide. To one side, the calm blue water is dotted with outriggers and small boats. To the other, the open Pacific rolls in long, slow swells, breaking against the reef in foamy bursts. The sound of surf is constant, a soft thunder that shapes every day and night. At the water's edge, fishermen wade in the shallows, casting nets with practiced grace. Children gather tiny crabs and shells along the tide line, their voices bright with discovery. You are offered a slice of coconut, cool and sweet, the taste of the island itself. As the day grows warmer, the world slows. Shade becomes precious beneath the breadfruit trees and open-sided houses. Some people nap through the heat. Others gather in small groups to talk, to mend, to share stories and songs that have traveled down generations. The rhythm is gentle. The hours marked by meals, by the passage of clouds, by the shift of wind across the lagoon. You make your way to the airstrip, a long green field that doubles as a playground and gathering place. There are no fences. When a plane lands, the whole community pauses to watch, and then the field returns to children's games, soccer and cricket played with driftwood bats and laughter. At dusk, families stroll along the strip, sharing the last cool breeze, the sky painted in colors of fire and gold. Lunch is a feast of flavors: taro steamed and pounded to a sticky paste, fried fish crisp and fresh, papaya sliced and sprinkled with lime. Everything is shared: food, stories, shade, and time. The sense of community is deep and effortless. No one eats alone if a neighbor is near. You're invited to a falais, a traditional meeting house built of wood, coral, and thatch, open to the wind. Elders gather on woven mats, their words measured and slow. Here, the business of the island is done. Decisions about fishing, about celebrations and weather, about what must be repaired before the next king tide. Voices are calm, disagreement is rare, and consensus is the pulse that guides every choice. In the afternoon, you venture to the edge of the atoll, where the reef lies exposed at low tide. You walk out on smooth, ancient coral, warm beneath your feet. Women and children collect shellfish, sea cucumbers, and octopus, moving with practiced care. The catch is carried home in baskets to be cooked and shared with friends and family. You pause to rest in the shade of a pandanus grove, listening to the sea's endless conversation with the sky. Night settles over Tuvalu with a gentle hush. The stars arrive, fierce and many, strewn from one horizon to the other. You lie on your back beside the lagoon, listening to the soft thrum of insects and the far-off crash of surf on the reef. The air is warm, filled with the scents of sea and coconut, of earth cooling after the heat of the day. You watch the moon rise over the water, painting silver paths across the stillness. Songs drift from a nearby fail, voices blending in harmony, old stories retold in laughter and gentle wisdom. Children doze in their mothers' laps, the elders speak softly, and the world feels small and safe, cradled by the ocean. You wake early, to the sound of roosters and the first hint of sun along the horizon. The village stirs again. Morning chores, water fetched from the communal tank, nets checked and laid out to dry. Boats are readied for another day's fishing. Some men wade out to the reef. Others set sail across the lagoon's glassy expanse. You join a group traveling by boat to a smaller islet, passing over waters as clear as glass, the bottom visible far below. Coral gardens, darting fish, the shadow of a turtle gliding past. The islet is little more than a ribbon of sand and palm, uninhabited but for a single shelter and a stand of coconut trees. You help gather coconuts and catch fish, learning to open a clam with a rock, to start a fire with driftwood and dry palm fronds. Lunch is grilled fish and fresh coconut, eaten beneath a makeshift awning, the world reduced to its most essential joys. In the afternoon, you explore the reef with mask and snorkel. Beneath the water, the world explodes with color: parrotfish, angelfish, anemones swaying in the current. Giant clams nestle in the coral, their shells painted in hues of blue and gold. A shark passes in the distance, sleek and unconcerned. The water is warm and buoyant, carrying you easily from wonder to wonder. As the sun begins to sink, you return to the main island, carried by the tide and the steady stroke of the boatman's paddle. The village awaits with the day's catch, laughter and voices rising to greet the returning boats. Evening brings another meal, shared outdoors beneath the stars and swaying lanterns. The elders begin a new story, the children join in with song, and the island breathes with contentment, as it has for generations, as it hopes to for generations yet to come. The days settle into a rhythm. Sunrise over the lagoon, mornings of work and laughter, long afternoons given to rest or wandering, and evenings of song, prayer, and stories. You find yourself changed by the pace, the softness of time, the sense that here, nothing need be hurried, and nothing is ever truly done alone. You join the children at school, a small building bright with murals and open to the trade winds. Lessons begin with song and prayer, the teachers guiding with kindness and patience. English and Tuvaluan are spoken side by side. History and science blend with stories of the ancestors, the movement of stars, the customs of planting, fishing, and celebration. At midday, you share a meal beneath a thatched shelter. Boiled taro, fried breadfruit, slices of salted fish, papaya, and banana. Conversation drifts from island gossip to the latest weather, to tales of relatives abroad. So many Tuvaluans live far away, sending stories and help across the sea. The afternoon brings a walk to the far tip of the atoll, where a single breadfruit tree stands at the end of a narrow path. The ocean stretches wide and blue in every direction. Clouds march along the horizon, casting shifting shadows on water and reef. Here, you feel the vastness and the vulnerability of Tuvalu, a country just a few meters above the tide, yet steadfast and deeply rooted in the hearts of its people. Returning to the village, you pass gardens growing pulaka in pits dug below the water table, the soil sweetened with crushed coral and coconut husk. Chickens scratch in the shade, and children climb for papayas, their laughter ringing out in the golden light. In the late afternoon, you are invited to help weave a mat for an upcoming wedding. Women gather in a circle, their fingers deft as they strip pandanus leaves, soak and dry, dye and braid. Each pattern tells a story of family, of voyage, of the gifts of land and sea. You work slowly, learning the craft and the stories that flow with it. As dusk falls, you join in evening prayers at the church. Windows open wide to the breeze, candles flicker in the soft gloom. Voices rise in harmony, simple and strong, giving thanks for another day and asking for grace in the night to come. Dinner is quiet, shared with friends beneath the open sky. Rice, fish, taro leaves simmered in coconut milk. Conversation fades to silence, then to the soft singing of a child, to the gentle music of wind in the palms. The night is soft, full of the hush of waves and distant song. You sleep on a woven mat, a thin sheet pulled over you, the world safe and still outside. A new day dawns, and the village wakes with it. You walk to the lagoon's edge, the water glassy and bright. Fishermen are already at work, some in small boats, others wading along the reef. You help pull in the nets, laughing at the slippery fish, the quick dart of crabs and shrimp. The catch is divided with care. Nothing is wasted, everything shared. Breakfast is breadfruit roasted on hot stones, a taste both smoky and sweet, eaten with friends beneath the wide fronds of a coconut palm. News of the day is exchanged, plans made, repairs to a roof, a canoe to mend, a celebration to prepare. You are swept into the gentle order of things, each person's work weaving into the fabric of the community. Later, you are invited to visit elders in a shady yard. They tell stories of storms and calm, of ancestors who crossed oceans guided by stars and memory alone. Their voices are quiet but strong, their laughter easy. They speak of the changes that have come, radios and planes, strangers and news from far away, and of the things that do not change, kindness, respect, the importance of the land and the sea. You walk to a garden where children are learning to plant pulaka. The soil is dark and rich, the work slow but sure. The teacher explains how each plant is a gift, how the community depends on the harvest, how the old ways remain even as new things arrive. The children listen, ask questions, and work together, their hands deep in the earth. In the afternoon, you watch a canoe being built, the hull shaped from breadfruit wood, lashed with sennet, each tool and skill handed down from parent to child. The work is measured, unhurried, accompanied by song and good-natured teasing. When the canoe is finished, it is blessed with prayer and coconut water, then launched into the lagoon, cheered by all. You follow the path to the village center, where a celebration is beginning. Food laid out on mats, music rising from guitars and ukuleles, the scent of roasting fish and sweet coconut in the air. Dances begin, hands weaving, feet stamping, bodies swaying to ancient rhythms. You join in, learning the steps, the chants, the laughter that holds the night together. The stars come out, scattered and bright, and the whole island glows with quiet happiness. You find yourself grateful, grounded, held in the arms of a community that moves with the tide and the turning sky. You fall asleep with the music still in your ears, the night warm and alive with the sound of the sea. On your final days in Tuvalu, you rise early and walk to the edge of the atoll, where the lagoon meets the open sea. The tide is low, revealing sandbars where birds gather, herons, terns, and the striking red-footed boobies that nest in the palms. You sit on a log, watching the changing light, listening to the quiet chorus of morning. You visit the school again, helping children with their reading beneath the rustle of pandanus leaves. They share stories of their dreams, to fish, to travel, to sing, to help their families, to keep their homes safe as the world changes. Their hope is quiet but fierce, rooted in love for land, lagoon, and each other. You walk along the main road, lined with houses painted pink, blue, green, and gold. Gardens bloom with hibiscus and frangipani, chickens wander in the dust, and everywhere you are greeted with a smile or a wave. Each person you meet has a story, a welcome, a piece of advice, for living, for cooking, for listening to the wind. One afternoon, you sit with a group of men mending nets beneath the shade of a tamanu tree. The conversation drifts to memories of great storms, the kindness of neighbors, the long wait for rain. They speak of the rising sea, of new walls built to hold the water back, of prayers for calm weather and safe journeys. You help carry buckets of water from the communal tank, share a snack of grilled fish and taro, and spend the last light of the day in quiet work, laughter, and gratitude. As evening comes, the whole community gathers for a final fia-fia. a feast of thanks and farewell. Mats are spread, lanterns hung, and songs begin. The children dance, voices soaring beneath the stars. Elders speak words of blessing and remembrance. The meal is abundant: fish, coconut pudding, breadfruit, papaya, rice, and palaka. Each dish prepared with care and love. After the meal, the music softens. Stories are told of ancestors, of storms survived, of laughter and sorrow, of days spent on the water and nights beneath the stars. You find yourself moved by the resilience and warmth that flows through every word, every embrace, every gesture of sharing. Before sleep, you walk to the shore one last time. The tide is rising, the moon bright on the water. You let the sound of the waves fill you, holding close the quiet beauty of this place and its people. Morning comes softly, your last in Tuvalu. The village stirs to life once more. Roosters call, breadfruit roasts, nets are carried to the water's edge. You share a final meal with friends, stories exchanged in laughter and quiet reflection. There is no hurry, only the gentle rhythm of farewell. You walk the familiar paths beneath the palms, pausing to take in the scent of salt and flowers, the warm press of sun on your shoulders. Children wave as you pass, elders bless your journey with a touch to the heart. The lagoon gleams turquoise and blue, the reef's edge marked by the endless dance of wave and light. Before you leave, you return to the church for one last prayer. The windows are open to the breeze, voices raised in harmony, the air full of gratitude for the gifts of another day. You find a quiet moment to sit on the sand, looking out at the vast ocean, the horizon wide and clear. Tuvalu is small, yet it feels infinite, an island heart beating in the world's great sea, its people bound by kindness, courage, and hope. As you prepare to depart, you carry their stories with you, woven like mats from pandanus leaves, strong and gentle, bright with memory. As our narrated discovery of Tuvalu comes to a close, we hope this journey brought you a sense of stillness, wonder, and gentle joy. If you enjoyed exploring with us, please consider subscribing for more poetic journeys to the world's hidden places. Leave a comment if you have thoughts, suggestions, or a country you'd love us to visit next. And if this brought you a moment of calm, a like would mean the world. Thank you for exploring gently with us. Until next time.